Are you guys like cologne people?
On occasions, yes, but daily, no.
Were you like when you were younger? Was that like a big thing, like picking the right cologne?
Dude, Axe body spray was a big thing when I was younger.
Gosh, it's so horrible. The memories are so bad.
When I was in junior high and like it was like cool to like start using Axe. So all the boys just sprayed it on thick.
And it was always in the locker room after people taking showers, like that damp, just
that nasty smell. Yeah.
Tom, you're from Long Island. I'm sure cologne was a big part of your childhood.
Adidas Moves is what I used in junior high. And
oh, dang.
Then I think I used Tommy Hilfiger. My dad had a bottle of Old Spice, but this was before Old Spice was cool again.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Old Spice used to be not good. That used to be like, ugh, you're an old man.
Yeah.
Those commercials changed it all.
When I was in high school, like Clinique Happy, there was like some of those that were really popular, but I would try to wear that stuff sometimes, but I don't like it. It's overpowering. Gives me a headache. I avoid it.
And do you find it attractive ever? Like when you walk, you walk past people or you're in an elevator after somebody. And it's one thing that's amazing to me is I'll wear a cologne here and there, but it like fades. But some people, they wear it and it's like, it's so potent for so long. But sometimes it's good. Like I can like it sometimes. But I'm bringing up, I've told you guys about my neighbor. He's a WWE wrestler, 403 pounds, 7'3" just bigger than Shaq. It's
I like
incredible.
that you have his stats memorized. You have his.
It's rare that it's like I don't know what Andre the Giant was, but we're coming up pretty close on it. But he just wears this cologne, and like I can smell him from half a mile away. And I was thinking, some people can make this like it sticks to them better, I think. But me, it just kind of dissipates. So
what if they just use
depends
a lot
on the
more?
cologne. Like more expensive colognes last longer. Same with perfumes. That's one of the things that determines its selling.
Are you
price.
calling me cheap?
I'm just saying maybe if you want something
that
that lasts longer, look at something with a little bit of a higher price tag.
You've got to buy you buy the fake stuff, don't you?
Yeah, I buy the fake stuff.
Now I just wear the Old Spice deodorant, and the Old Spice deodorant smells pretty good. My wife likes it.
Tom, nobody here uses. You and I think, are the only ones that use deodorant on the team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's something you didn't know about, did you?
Ariel picks a new rock goes around St. Louis picking up different rocks to use.
No, that's Robert. Remember, he's a crystal guy.
Yeah, Robert uses crystals. Michael uses some kind of natural something that probably doesn't work. Ariel was not sure what she used, so couldn't really tell.
No, I was sure.
So and I, they're all afraid of like the aluminum. They've bought it in like
no, I don't use aluminum. I wear deodorant, not antiperspirant.
So are you also on the you think the aluminum's going to kill you train?
It's not going to kill me, but I don't think it's good for me.
All right, guys. So you all, Bobby, Ariel, and me. This is Tom. Tom's our web developer on the team.
Say hi, Tom, for our listeners.
Hi.
There you go.
Yeah,
I'm Tom.
There you go.
If you had to kind of plot yourself, I'd say Ariel and Robert are, a little more hippy dippy, and I'm I don't know if I'm not even going to give you the matrix. Just plot yourself for the listeners. Tom, where do you sit on your worldview when it comes to everything?
No pressure.
It's such a vague question. That's
like, am I a hippie? No, I wouldn't consider myself one. Am I like Michael? I try not to be. I don't know. I mean, generally, I'm a tech nerd. I sit in this, 12 by 12 box in my house most of the time, in the suburbs of New York City, writing code most of the day, do kids, house, lots of DIY stuff. So but Michael's been trying to get me to put the trim on my closet for the last year.
That's been
it's still on my to-do list. I'm good at procrastinating.
Suburban tech nerd makes sense.
Yeah.
I feel like that describes you well. Like you're like a dad. You have like dad vibes. You know what I mean? You got to you're a dad.
Trying to shed the dad bod.
Oh,
yeah. Oh, okay.
So we kind of chose today's questionable decision to extrapolate a little bit more about Tom, learn a little bit about him, and to talk about some of the decisions that you've made in your life. Bobby, do you want to sort of sum up what the questionable decision we're going to be talking about today is?
I actually can't remember, to be honest with you, what we're talking about with Tom. I just figured it was something he was selling something, because here's the thing about Tom. Tom he's an optimizer. You're an optimizer. Like everything that he has, that you see in his background right now is probably for sale, or he bought it for cheap on the Facebook Marketplace in order to sell it eventually. But I think it just stacks up. So I don't remember. Is that what we're talking about with him?
Nope. Competitive eating.
Oh, competitive eating. Yeah, he does that too. So yeah, and Tom, I don't know. Like you do it for money sometimes, right?
Depends on the competition. Yeah. The prize pools vary.
Yeah, and I think my question to you when I initially found that out was like, I see people do that, and you talk about it. There's like lingo, and there's a whole subculture of this eating random stuff, like to the point of almost hurting yourself. And to prepare for these competitions, you have to buy a crap load of food. And so I guess I was just kind of curious, like, is this even worth it at all? Like, what's the point? But I don't know what the prep looks like. Like, I don't know if you just sit there and shove hot dogs down your throat for like, a week and do nothing else.
It's kind of a shame that there's not like a kind of dummy hot dog that you can practice with. Like, if you were
like a string on
preparing for another type of competition, you'd have like, that's right. Yeah. Well, just some way of like recouping it so you could keep practicing.
I'm thinking too about like the cigarettes that they smoke in Mad Men that aren't really cigarettes, so you don't get the harmful effects of eating 300 hot dogs.
Yeah. How do you prove you can eat 300 hot dogs without having to eat 300 hot dogs?
Mm-hmm.
Usually with the prep stuff, it is like a week's worth of eating to get ready for whatever challenge you're doing. But typically you're not going to eat whatever you're going to eat at the competition. So like the last one I did was meatballs. So I did do a couple practice meals. I did a couple practice meals using meatballs, but for the most part, I was eating lots of vegetables.
And what's the known like threshold? Like what's the everybody in the competitive eating world surely has like a number of meatballs. They're like, oh man, that's the threshold. What's the number of meatballs that a professional can put down?
I don't know. It varies depending on the size of the meatball, I guess.
There's not a regulation size meatball? It feels like they should be regulation size.
Can we back up for a second? Can you first give us like, what are the rules of the eating competitions? Like, can you give us like a general idea? Because I have no idea how these things work. Like, so let's just say a meatball contest. Like, how would this work?
Okay. So usually in food competitions, it's either speed or volume. And that's going to be the thing that you're training mostly for. So the meatball competition I did, it was a 3-minute competition. So it's not like you're probably not going to max out your stomach capacity in 3 minutes. It's more about how many meatballs can you eat within that time period. So you're practicing more for the speed of it. You definitely want to make sure that you have enough capacity to eat through that, but it was more about getting it down in that amount of time and trying to beat the next guy, right? As opposed to like something with a longer time limit, like the hot dog eating competition, then you're hitting volume constraints, right? So it's like these guys that are taking down 80 hot dogs, they need to train capacity wise for that. And in their training meals, they're probably doing at least like 10 pounds of food while they're training each time.
Like 10 pounds a day or like a session? Like what?
Like in a meal. Wow. So like
humans are incredible. What they will do to compete.
It's
also
disgusting.
what we're capable of
to show their dominance.
Yeah. So the average
you're
human
you're taking it's impressive angle.
Yeah.
Impressive, gross. It's a fine line.
Right? I mean, impressive doesn't mean that I would like to do it or think that anybody should, but it's kind of incredible.
Yeah. So like the average human stomach can consume like about 2 pounds or so. I think it maxes out at around 1 liter. So you got to train to make it any bigger than that. So like in the food space, you have dudes that are pretty popular on YouTube, like Randy Santel or Beard Meats Food, Joel Hansen. So like Randy has a video on food challenge prep. And basically he makes like 4 pounds of vegetables, a half a dozen eggs, has an 8-pound bowl of watermelon, and then has like a giant pitcher of liquid to like top it all off and fill in the little cracks in your stomach afterwards.
Gross.
But that's like relatively healthy food, like, vegetables and eggs and watermelon and stuff.
Right. Because he's just trying to expand the capacity of his stomach. He doesn't want to eat 10,000 calories every meal and blow up.
I've always wondered how those people aren't just extremely obese. Like, but that makes sense. They're just eating stuff that takes up space.
Yeah, and when they're not training for a competition, I imagine most of them are trying to eat pretty healthy and are working out pretty hard. I mean, it depends on the person, but like 10, 20 years ago, when you look at the Nathan's hot dog eating competition, I think that lineup looked a lot different than, what you've seen over the last decade.
I haven't seen
Maybe
it over the last
Kobayashi's on that like borderline, but Kobayashi looked pretty ripped, back in the day. And like even Joey Chestnut isn't a huge guy or anything like that. And a lot of these YouTube people, like it looks like, you could count the number of abs on their stomach because they're all like chiseled.
Okay. So let's go. So I want to go through both of these. Have you done both types of contests? Have you done like the volume and the speed?
I haven't done lots of real competitions. Like the meatball one was probably the most legit one I ever did. It had like $1,000 prize pool for the winner. But like I'll do competitions with friends and stuff. We'll go to the firehouse and everyone gets a Crave case of White Castle burgers, and you see how much you can take down in like 10 minutes.
That's awful.
So would you say
Disgusting.
this is like, do you feel like this is a calling in your life? Like this is something that you feel like you have a skill in? Or is it the equivalent of like walking by a poster on the sidewalk and going like, oh, I could do that? Like what got you into this? I mean, because you say, hey, I do competitive eating. I wouldn't say that about myself. How did you...
I mean, like I'm nowhere near the level of the people that I watch on YouTube or anything. This is just like a fun little, it's like barely even a hobby. It's like an interest, So I like eating. I like food. If I can compete and eat as much food as I can in a few minutes, that sounds like a good time to me. I mean, maybe I'll be in a food coma for a few hours afterwards, which isn't really a good time, but I like the challenge of it. I think it's different.
My husband did a spicy taco eating competition one time. And I mean, he was like, I like spicy food. I like tacos. This would be fun. And he suffered for several days after that. And, have you gone through that kind of a thing where you do one of these competitions and there's like a deep sense of regret afterwards because of, the aftermath? I don't want to get too gross or anything. But.
Sure, yeah. So like doing the White Castle, that was definitely a regret. And the first time I ever had White Castle was when I was competing with my buddies for it. So like we each got a Crave case of 30 burgers, and they had cheese and pickles on it. I hate hot pickles. I can't do hot pickles. And these had hot pickles on them. So, like 12 or 14 burgers in, that flavor was just overwhelming to me. And I kind of hit a wall at that point. So anything with pickles, I'm going to stay away from in the future. And it's not like I lost it afterwards or anything like that. Going to the lingo that Bobby was talking about, I think one of the only food terms is a reversal, and that's when it comes back up.
There's the technical language.
So gross. Okay, so this meatball competition.
Yeah.
Grand prize, $1 grand.
For 3 minutes of eating meatballs.
3 minutes. Okay, 3 minutes.
Wow.
Like walk me through the competition. How many people are you competing against? What did the prep look like? You probably tracked how much it all costed. Walk me through it.
Someone sent me a message about this competition that was coming up. It was at like an Italian restaurant, and they were having a big meatball thing going on. So not just the meatball eating competition, but there was also like the meatball making competition. So there were probably like 20 different people that made their meatballs, and you had judges that went through. There was the judge for the meatball eating competition was a retired professional eater who like used to be on, the Nathan scene and that kind of stuff. Prep wise, like $1,000 prize pool for a couple minutes of eating meatballs. I was like, oh, that sounds fun. I should give it a whirl. So I went and got my prep food, which was like a whole bunch of bags of frozen vegetables. I got a few DiGiorno pizzas. I got like 4 bags of frozen meatballs, eggs, and like fish sticks. So like a meal for that was I would go and cook up a couple pounds of the frozen vegetables with probably like between 4 and 6 eggs. And I would make like fish tacos with the fried fish and stuff like that. So like each prep meal was probably around 3 pounds. And then I would drink as much liquid as I could after that. So like 3 pounds isn't all that much more than the average person. Cause if you can max out at 2, going to 3 is like, it's only another pound, but probably in like the 3 to 4 pound range would be my max if I was training for it. And like a couple of the prep meals, I would do like an entire bag of the frozen meatballs, which is like 1.6 pounds, and a DiGiorno pizza, which is like, a pound and a quarter or so, or vice versa.
Hold on, so you didn't do like the healthy stuff at all. Like this sounds like garbage. Like you just
It was a mix. I mean,
Okay.
I wanted to try to figure out what my strategy would be for taking the meatballs, right? Because it's like Joey Chestnut will do like kind of the chipmunk thing, as opposed
know what that is.
to other people. What chipmunk? It's where
Dude,
you
you're
take a
talking
bunch
about
of little
these people.
bites.
Like, is he the best out of the?
He's like the best right now, and he's won the hot dog eating competition for like many years.
Okay, I'm not on the Nathan scene, so I just
Gotcha.
don't know. Okay, keep going.
All right, yeah. So Joey Chestnut tends to do more of the chipmunk eating, so like a bunch of little bites, right? So that he's not stuffing his mouth and then trying to chew it. And then you have other people that'll basically shove the whole thing in their mouth and more or less
What if you
swallow it
bite
whole.
your lip while you like when you go at it? You're out at the competition. That's the equivalent of like dislocating a shoulder in football or something.
If you bite your lip, as long as you don't spit any food out and then not eat
How
that
can you
food
keep
again.
chipmunking after you bit your lip? You keep biting it.
I think you just play through the pain.
You could change strategy and just try to swallow them whole, more or less.
Yeah, do people do that? Just like swallow meatballs whole?
So in getting to the competition part of this, right? So day of, get there. There's probably a dozen of us at a long table, and logistically, like they didn't really have everything together the way I thought they would. Like they just brought out 3 giant plates of meatballs in sauce, steaming hot, right? And you have a dozen people. It's like, well, how do you measure who ate what when you just have 3 giant plates on the table, right? So then the judge guy was like, all right, everyone portion out a dozen meatballs on the plate. And they did it as like two rounds of 1 minute and 30 seconds. So we had a dozen people or so in the first round. You had 1 minute and 30 seconds. Everyone had a dozen meatballs. I took down, I think it was 8 or 12. I forget. The third place, and I came in second on that. The third place guy, I think, took down like 6 or 7. And the first place guy got his entire plate of a dozen down. And that guy, like, he looked like he could crush me with a single hand. And I think he was like a boxer or a fighter in a previous career.
He was Michael's
And-
neighbor.
Yeah, probably.
could be.
It could be. But this guy was just throwing them down, like, popping meatball, and just like swallowing them. So in the second round, it was me and 2 other people. So I made it to the final, I guess. So I was in the top 3 for that. I ended up coming in second, but this guy's technique was just entirely different than mine, because I was doing the chipmunk and, eating with one hand, bottle of water in the other, right? So that you can...
I see Tom
guess
being such
lubricate.
a data person. He probably, as he was figuring out his style, had like a little, chart, an Excel spreadsheet of like how quickly he could get down food
And like the pace that you need to keep while you're
and
doing
the pace.
it too.
He probably had it down to like a millisecond.
And then there's other little strategies too. It's like right before it starts, you take a gulp of water so that your throat is lubricated, so that you could take the first meatball down really quickly, right?
You keep like a pat of butter in your cheek, to help with the...
I was thinking about the hot dog stuff where they like soak the buns in water.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything like with meatballs? Could you have like crunched them up and then I guess you don't have that much time, right?
You can do whatever you want, I guess, but like you weren't able to. I don't think you were allowed to cut them up on the plate for eating. Maybe you could, but like you had to be able to measure what the difference was between what was on the plate and to figure out what you consumed, right, from the start to the end. So like if you went and cut all your meatballs up, you'd probably just get disqualified.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, but like with the cheating, which you were getting at, Bobby, right?
Yeah.
So I've seen some videos on YouTube where people accuse each other of cheating, and with the hot dogs and dunking them in the water and stuff, there would be accusations of like there were chunks of the hot dogs in the cups of water, and the cups of water get cloudy with all the starch from the buns and whatever, so you can't see it until like you dig through the cup or dump it out or whatever.
But nobody's like, I don't know, doing
Like stick a meatball in your pocket.
Yeah, stuff like that, or like I don't know if you could take something
One
like
in your cheek.
numb your throat so you don't feel the pain of like shoving stuff down there, and you just keep going. It's stuff like that. I would think that could be next level.
And surely there's some kind of medicine that like shuts down your body's impulse to throw up. Like that seems like a good way
performance
to cheat.
enhancing drugs. Yeah,
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not really familiar with those.
Okay. Well, maybe you should try it.
Not at my level.
Tom's above board.
I'm a noob, I guess.
So second place, did you win anything, or was it just
I got
pride?
$100
Okay. Well, that's-
and a free lunch, I guess.
So did you lose money on this venture?
Lose? No. I mean, I probably spent like $50 on food. Not that I ate all that $50 in prep. My freezer was probably pretty full. I was eating frozen meatballs for a while after that.
Were the meatballs good?
No, they were crap.
Oh.
Yeah, it was like $3 for a bag of 40 meatballs filled with preservatives and stuff.
No. The ones in the competition.
Oh, they were great, but like I said, they were steaming. They were like super, super hot. But one guy burned his mouth on the meatballs in the first round.
that seems reckless of the organizers.
Yeah, logistics wise, they kind of weren't thinking about that. I guess it was like super fresh, great meatballs, but like burn your throat and hard to count.
After you do the competition, the meatball competition, or any of these other ones, like, do you want to eat meatballs for like you like don't want to eat meatballs for the next month or something? Is it like ruin that food for a little while?
If I were to eat those meatballs again, that would be fine. But like, it took a while before I wanted to eat those crappy frozen meatballs that were in my freezer because like they were just very salty and not good quality meatballs. So I got sick of that taste. But like the minute and a half or 3 minutes that I was eating the meatballs in the competition, I wasn't sick of the flavor of that. They were good.
The adrenaline was coursing through you.
Yeah. I was going to ask,
Loved
were you nervous? Like, were you sitting there at the table, like nervous about this?
I don't think so. It was like game mode. You focus,
Oh, okay.
But I get that. But it is also the knowledge that you're about to like make a fool of yourself. Like you're about to do some really, people are embarrassed if they get a little ketchup on their lip. Like you're about to
Yeah, you get a little
do
messy,
some pretty despicable things in front of a group of people watching. Like, have you no shame, Tom?
Unspeakable.
I was pretty stoked to do it. I was excited, I wasn't worried about being judged for it. I mean, I just want the judge to tell me I win. But
So yeah,
I'll
you
take
were
second
judged
place.
for it.
So where does your career go from here?
I don't know. There's no career in it for me anyway. Like you do have major league eating and stuff, but I have no desire to do that. I do want to. There's a chicken wing competition coming up in a couple weeks, but the prize pool is only a trophy.
Those are dangerous. Bones.
Right.
Dangerous.
I've never done a chicken wing eating competition, and the strategy is totally different.
No bones.
Because, so with the wings, they have this whole technique where they pull the bone out of it and whatever and eat the wing whole. I don't know. I haven't studied it very well, and I'm not sure how I would perform. I should have started already, probably.
Okay. And what's the prize on that one?
It's literally a trophy. So like
Okay.
there's no monetary prize. Yeah. So I'm like on the fence about joining it. What was interesting was that they had like in their rule documentation that you couldn't be a pro eater.
Again, does some official body give you a card or something like that?
There is an official body, right? Like, isn't there an official organization for this stuff?
Yeah, there is some 4-letter acronym organization, I think, and then you have Major League Eating, but I think they were using some criteria of like you haven't participated in one of those competitions as being pro level or whatever they want to call it. So like maybe it would be a good competition to try to get a win under my belt, but I don't know.
But don't choke
We'll
on
see.
a bone,
Yeah.
That seems
You could-
dangerous.
Yeah, that would be rough. Like if you're going for speed in that and you take a bone, that I don't know, that seems like game over.
What do you think Joey Chestnut's, everybody here, what do you think Joey Chestnut's net worth is? He's a
$4
professional eater. I don't know how long he's been doing it, but he's been doing it for a while, I'm guessing.
I'm gonna say $4 million.
Okay. Ariel, what do you got?
$750,000.
Damn, wow.
No, I think
disrespecting him.
I think it's probably something like 10 to 12, but they wouldn't put 12. I'd say they're going to say 15 to 20 million.
Whoa. $2.5 million.
Oh gosh. I'm not getting into this. There's no money in it.
There's no money in this competition. Now, maybe he's not marketing himself. Who's the most popular? Is he the most popular or is he just the best?
I think he's probably the most popular.
He's up there. You have a bunch of people that are on the top tier, like Matt Stoney and stuff, who is also very popular on YouTube too.
Who's his arch nemesis guy? Who's the guy that had the jaw arthritis and had to retire early?
Kobayashi, but that was a while ago.
Kobayashi.
He retired. Yeah, I think he had tendonitis issues with his jaw and maybe messed up his esophagus too. I don't know. Yeah, so you have that tier of people that are doing those competitions like Nathan's, and then you have some crossover between that and like the YouTube. But so like Matt Stoney would be a crossover because like he's very good on YouTube and he's also doing like Nathan's and whatever. But you have these people that are doing these restaurant challenges. They'll go to different restaurants that have like, if you complete the meal, it's free type stuff. And some of them have prizes and whatever. So like Beard Meats Food, like I mentioned before, is probably one of my favorites. He's in the UK. And I think he's involved with Major League Eating now too. And like Randy Santel. Those guys, you know, Joel Hansen also, they go to all the restaurants and around the country, different countries, and try to, you know, complete every challenge that they can.
Dang.
So this is a hobby for you, Tom. Maybe there's a little bit of money in it. Maybe you could, you know, give your life to it and make $2.5 million. But I'm just going to come out and say that if my kid came to me and said, I'm going to get into a competitive eating contest, I don't know. I think it's a fun thing to do with some friends, like, you know, after a couple drinks. But trying to strategize and read books and, you know, go that deep, I'm not so sure. I think this is a good decision. I don't want to judge your lifestyle.
No, I agree. Like, I don't think it's
you agree.
It's like your kid's going to have
probably not a good decision.
Your kid's going to have to ask you permission for whatever he does in life. And I'm just like, I want to be there for that conversation when he's like, Dad, I really want to eat competitively. And I just want to see your reaction to it. I want to just be there for it. So can you call me when that time comes? Because I really want to know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think it's a fun little thing to spice things up on the side, but it's not something where I want to like travel around eating food. Side note, I do want to do a burger tour of the country. There's a book of like the best burger place in every single state, and I want to do that as like a bucket list item. Go to every state and eat like the best burger that they have.
So that makes me think of a question. What would be your like ideal or your dream food competition? Like, what would you like to do besides the burger eating tour, which isn't really a competition? Like, is there sort of one that you dream of doing one day?
I mean, I don't really dream about this stuff, but like I think
about
taco eating competition would be good. Burger eating would be good. I don't know. Throw some foods out there. Pizza, I'd be down for that. But like chicken wings, I have no desire to really do, mostly because of the bones, like Michael brought up.
Testicles, Liver King style.
Liver King, yeah. Eating kidneys and stuff.
Yeah.
Milkshakes.
Yeah.
Would you do that?
Milkshake, I would try it. I mean, there are some restaurants that have food challenges around me, and one of them has like I think it's like a 5-pound thing called the kitchen sink, where it's, you know, a whole bunch of ice cream and whatever. I would try milkshakes. I don't know how I would perform,
but brain freeze.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, last question for me.
Yeah, I haven't thought about it.
If you could reliably make as much or more money consistently doing food competitions instead of what you do now, would you do it?
No, because I think my life expectancy would drop. Yeah,
I don't know. These guys have chiseled abs, Tom. You may be in a better place.
Yeah, but like, I don't.
He just body shamed you, by the way.
Yeah, I'm working on it. I've been trying to eat healthier as we're talking about food eating competitions. I think that you're doing a lot of damage to your esophagus, and there's probably nothing good that comes from expanding your stomach capacity as much as you can. Like you can rupture your esophagus, and Kobayashi got his, you know, jaw tendonitis and whatever. That I don't have a desire to do that. I just want to have a little extra fun on the side and do something that's different that not a whole lot of people are doing. And if I could make $100 or $1,000 every once in a while by like placing in the top 1 or 2, that would be cool.
That sounds like a
I
good
guess I have
approach.
one more question. Do we feel like this? We used to do this. We stopped doing this. Do we think questionable or no? The food competitions that Tom is engaged in.
Yeah, I think I answered. I think it's questionable.
I don't think it's questionable.
I think it's questionable if there's no money involved. I think it's just weird. But I don't know. I don't think it's that questionable. It kind of sounds
about like
fun.
the pride and glory.
But is there pride and glory in it though? Like,
I guess the one thing I would say is, you know, like back when they were like tough men, Vikings, you know, like would go to the pub and
There's
eat
still
a
there's still those, I think.
eat a half a lamb and drink 3 gallons of beer, and I can see like that amount of just like consumption and just powerness, but like comfortable suburban people just wanting to eat as much as they can, I think that's probably just not the best display of any kind of talent.
That is the sign that a civilization is coming to an end soon, I think.
So like
that's
I
late
did
stage.
I ended up in like 3 or 4 different newspapers for that food competition. And I had a buddy that lives in Chicago send me a message and he's like, "Is this you?" I ended up on the news on his channel in Chicago somewhere.
Wow.
But it was cool. I mean, not like I'm famous, but like made the news. My
we weren't confused about that part.
If we can we like sponsor you into one of these competitions? Like, could we do something like that? Like, pay your admission into it, like set you up with like a shirt, some swag, and stuff like that, and then you go and do it like in the name of the company. Like, could you do that and then document it so we can share it on social?
So. Yeah, sure.
Dude, what if he doesn't do well? Will it bring shame to our company?
If he doesn't do well, we'll never post anything about it. But if he wins, we'll post it all over the place.
I'm down for it.
Beautiful.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening to Questionable Decisions. If you have a decision you'd like us to discuss, you can text us at 321-222-0203. It is worth noting that Michael is currently trying to make me laugh while I read this. So we have an amazing email list that you can join. Their information is in the show notes. We'll be back next week and talk soon.